Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm Candace.
I'm Court.
And today we are going to be sharing something that is really special to us actually. This is a practice that has been really impactful in our marriage, and I feel like it really allows us to deeply connect and build a greater intimacy. And we wanted to share it with all of you. We can't just be selfish and keep it to ourselves, can we? I mean, we could, but that's not how we roll.
It's not helping the world. No. We are all about committed, intentional, conscious relationships, committed in the traditional sense, but also into the growth, into the depth, what your relationship really can bring with you. And this is one of the ways we do it. What exactly are we talking about?
It's called a heart talk. And so we'll kind of lay out the framework and maybe give you some examples. But before we dive into it, maybe we can explain why we find it so important.
Yeah, like kind of like what it is.
What it
in a
is.
nutshell.
Yeah. So what is the framework of a heart talk, or why do we do it?
Well, so in a nutshell, I would say a heart talk is both a space and an opportunity for us to sit down and really connect in a grounded space and in an intentional space. So what I mean by both those things is that a lot of times when you get into a relationship, especially like a long time or over a long time, a lot of your communication just kind of becomes like logistical, or, talking about emotions might only happen after a fight or during a fight. But we don't often make really intentional time to connect.
So true.
And so this is a chance for us to do that, which is also a proactive way to either avoid fights or to help deal with some of the underlying shit about the fight, which is why I emphasize that it's a grounded space for us to connect.
Yeah.
Because when you are in an argument, you're heightened, you're not listening to each other, all of that.
From your heart. And
think about the last time that you had a fight over like the almond milk, which has happened for us. We had a blowout fight about almond milk a long time ago. And I remember it was like last year. And it was not pretty. And I remember there was like, remember that this was about almond milk. And I was like, oh my God, this is not good.
Yeah.
But obviously, you guys, it wasn't really about almond milk, of course. And so a heart talk is a chance to be like, here's what was really going on. Here's how I'm feeling. Here's how you're feeling. Or, I'm not telling you how you feel, but you get to share.
But I convey that. I share that. Yeah.
And then navigating through, we'll explain kind of the structure of how to navigate through it.
Yeah.
But that's what it is in a nutshell. It's a chance to really sit down, have a committed, intentional, heart-to-heart conversation that you have made time and space for before an issue arises. So I think that's the other important thing to mention is we do these regularly. We try to do them every week.
We haven't been super consistent with it lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's just like any practice. It's just start off small. And if you fall off track, no stress. Just get, make that commitment.
Like us.
Recommit. And bring it back.
Yeah, but we've definitely gone, months at a time with having them every single week, and it's been hugely impactful, as Candace said.
Yeah.
And so, and as I mentioned, it helps mitigate some of those fights from either happening or recurring, because I think the Gottman Institute says like 2/3 of fights in couples are just recurring issues that keep coming up over and over again.
Because they're patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, they go back to since childhood that won't get into all of that, but but that's generally why. And so it's not necessarily always to mitigate an argument. It can be, something that has, is building up as a resentment that you do want to shed some light on. But again, this is an opportunity to do it in a grounded way and to really tap into your heart. And we're going to share the framework, which we find really facilitates that space so that you can really hear your partner and seek to understand. That doesn't mean you always agree with them, so that's important. But let's dive into the framework of that.
Yeah. And to give context for the framework, so we first learned about heart talks from a book called The Conscious Wedding Handbook.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was how we planned a lot of our wedding. It had a lot of really amazing exercises and things to think about. So they called it a heart talk, and it had somewhat of this structure. And then also I follow the Gottman Institute, really incredible relationship institute, and they have something very similar that they call State of the Union, which I think is really cute. And they had also a similar structure, and so we kind of combined this is just how we do it.
And then we kind of tweaked it too.
Yeah.
As we've practiced it, we've learned what works for us and how to kind of like,
and what is important for
what
us.
is most important for us, which we'll share in a moment.
Yeah. Do you want to give the breakdown?
Yeah, well, we can go back and forth.
Okay.
And riff. We want to introduce you to Norm. He's our talking stick. Norm wants to say hello. Hello, everybody. Yeah, no. So I didn't
know Norm had a voice.
That's Norm's voice. Now you know. But yeah, no. This is the talking stick. I've had this for a while, actually. I think it was gifted to me. I don't know, some personal development retreat, something or other. Either way, it's our talking stick, so it's a great way for us. It even says on here, which I love, seek to first to understand, then to be understood. And so this really just sets that space, that container, right? So that whoever has this stick is the one talking, and the person that it doesn't have the stick
does not talk.
Does not talk. You're just listening. And that's, it can be a challenge. And totally let me preface this whole thing by saying this is not always comfortable. I know when we say heart talk, it sounds so lovely, and it is, and it can be, and it also can be fucking challenging as hell. But just like if we do the work and we really allow ourselves to hold this space, it really does, open us up to more growth and understanding, more love and compassion. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think one of the great parts about doing them consistently, besides that you're, working on some of the patterns that might come up again, is that not every week some like major problem is going to be there, most likely. And so you get into the pattern of your body, your mind, your emotions being comfortable with this dynamic with just small little things, or maybe there isn't a problem, so that the next time when there is something really big and it is a very uncomfortable heart talk, it's not like the first time you're trying to do this,
right?
And so that's why I think it can be so great to like continually do them.
Absolutely.
So
without further ado, so we really just started off. We just go back and forth. So whoever wants to start, we hold time. This is a big one because boundaries is really important. We've got to really honor that, and sometimes we want to, we can kind of get lost in some, a stream of consciousness or whatever, just, but we find it really helpful, just to really hold that space. So we give 5 minutes per
person per topic. And we set a timer on our phones.
We set a timer. So just to start off with that, sometimes we might be in the middle of a sentence and we'll finish it, of course. And if there's like something that's really on your heart that you feel that you really want to get that out, we hold the space for it. So it's not like super rigid, but
before we started timing them, sometimes these would go on.
It would go on. So I think it's
two
really...
girls.
Yeah, that's true. And you can talk about emotions for days, but also we find that having a container and holding that time has been really, really good.
Yeah, and it doesn't become like a dumping ground.
Right, and exactly. It's really good at getting your point across, and being able to still be able to
actually respond.
And to respond, yeah. Sorry, I was losing my train of thought there. But
I was like, I don't know if that's what you're going to say, but it's what popped into my head.
So talking about talking here, we can talk a lot.
The first
thing we start off with is gratitude. So what am I grateful for? And the idea with this is that we are trying to keep it in and around our relationship. Obviously, there's going to be things outside of your relationship that come to mind. That's beautiful. And, also just it's about building the connection in the heart, coming from your heart, and what you're grateful for with your partner and the things that you, like that's going on in your life that you've been impacted, for example. I'm so grateful that we are building this incredible metamorphosis mastermind program, and we're calling incredible humans into this space. And I'm just so grateful to co-create with you, my badass partner in Shine. So, I mean, again, you'd hold the space for 5 minutes. She's hearing, she's not saying anything, and then I pass the torch off onto her, and then it will be her turn.
Yeah, and then I would go, and I love the point about keeping it within the relationship, or trying to, that even if something pops into your head, for instance, maybe I'm feeling grateful that I get to take dance classes, even though the studios are not open right now, sad. But if I was feeling grateful for that, maybe I could find something that has to do with our relationship around that. And so I'd be like, I'm really grateful for your support, that you cook dinner Thursday nights so that I can go to dance.
Good point.
You know, something like that.
So yeah, it's not like not saying the things that you're grateful for, but also just seeing how your partner is able to support you. And,
So there's a little
love
bit
that.
Okay. So yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead. You can go.
After gratitude is feeling challenged by. So this is where it can get a little tough sometimes.
Yeah.
So basically, again, we set 5 minutes on the timer. Actually, I would hand it back to Candace. We pick one person to start. We rotate each time we do a heart talk. Right. So in this case, Candace would start with what she's challenged by.
Yeah.
And this is a chance to basically bring up any problems, issues, patterns, frustrations, whatever's going on. This could be something that maybe your partner isn't completely aware of, or at least they don't know it's going to come up. Or this could be maybe you had a big fight this week and you didn't solve it then, and you're like, let's bring it up in a heart talk. This would be that time. So again, you're only one person is speaking and the other is just listening. And you're saying what you're challenged by and why. And it's really easy for this part to fall into that kind of dumping ground. And so, yeah, besides that, you have the 5 minute time limit, or that's what we've chosen for our time limit, which is good.
Yeah.
There's also just needing to be aware that you're not just and then you did this, and then you did that. But it's I'm feeling challenged by, here's my side of how I'm perceiving things going on. It's not just a finger pointing thing.
Yeah. And I like how you said it's not a dumping ground. So one thing I try to be really intentional about is, obviously we can build up, resentments. So I just really encourage that you just take a moment to really kind of tune in and notice, what do you feel is the most pressing? Because instead of dumping in a bunch of things that you want to be heard all in this one moment, why not just choose one and know that you'll have opportunity to, I think when you build the foundation for this, that it's just, you can have more of these types of conversations. Yeah, that's my words of encouragement.
One issue.
Especially when you're starting out, because it can really feel like a lot for, someone who's receiving it, that's really just holding space and listening. That again, this is not comfortable work, and really want to be present. And so, yeah, start off small.
It's also logistically.
And I mean small, not as in small problem, but one problem at a time.
And if you were to list 5 or 7 things, it's going to be really hard for your partner to respond to those anyway, and say what they're committed to in each of those things. And that's just going to be frustrating. Yeah. So one thing
at a time. Yeah. And so one thing I just really encourage too, when I, what I've found really helpful is, as I am communicating what I'm most challenged by, that I'm just noticing, how I'm saying that to my partner. So I'm not saying, I'm challenged that you're an asshole. I'm I
think I've said that before. Or come close.
But, it's really framing it in a way of getting your point across. So maybe they are being, or they can often, have asshole tendencies. But it's, you know, kind of just being very mindful that you're not using, you know what I mean?
They're not a verbal punching bag.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
I got you.
Weird. Sometimes we finish each other's sentences. This is weird. But either way, yes, exactly. But I won't go into it too much. Make it your own. Really trust your intuition. You're gonna notice how it's being received, and you get to fine tune it and make it really, your own personal heart talk. So. As Courtney mentioned, after we go over our challenges, next is our commitment. So we love doing the what am I committed to after we've both expressed our challenges. So obviously I have expressed my challenge to her and she's expressed to me. So I first want to know, I'd like to commit to like what I can do better for myself. So if I'm feeling challenged by, not being heard, for example, that came up recently and
like 20 minutes ago.
So, sometimes that happens, in relationships, so we just have to tune in. And, but I'm also committed to, expressing my needs, and letting her know that I don't feel heard right now, and that I just would like her to hear me, and I'm not looking for any support. I just need her to hold the space so that I can voice what I need to be voiced. And so that's my commitment as well. So it's not just what I'm committed to in terms of what you're feeling challenged by, but what I also can own for myself. I find that helps me as well. And then, of course, my additional commitment would be how I can best commit to what you're feeling challenged by, and how I can support you.
So, for instance, if I had said that I was feeling challenged, what was mine? We just did a heart talk right before this. I was feeling challenged by like chores and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes I can be selfish.
Yes.
Surprise, surprise.
So I was talking about that. So then her commitments to me then were to be more aware of when that's coming up and to basically not do it, and some steps behind that. So yeah, commitments can look a couple different ways.
Absolutely.
What I really love as well that you were doing, and then I modeled after you, was before you said your commitment, you said, okay, what I hear you saying is this, and you'd really like this, and you're struggling with this. Like, you really repeated all that back, which is really good, because especially when you've done like challenges, and then commitments, it's like you can almost forget, be like, okay, wait, what was the stuff you said that you're challenged by? So when you rephrase it and repeat it back, you're not only making sure that that person feels heard and understood, but you're like solidifying for yourself, okay, this is what I need to commit to.
Yeah, and I think it also offers, even though there's the framework of holding this space, but if I were to say to you, I heard something that maybe wasn't exactly what you meant, it gives you an opportunity to
correct it if need be.
Just be able to correct that. And make me aware. So then we're on the same page.
Yeah, so those are our commitments. We started adding commitments in like maybe a year or two ago. We've been doing these heart talks really like since we met.
Yeah, I feel like the commitment was a massive shift, and it made a huge difference. Because it's then that way it feels like it's not just we're voicing all these things. There's actually some action behind it.
There's like growth and change gonna happen instead of just like, here's all the shit I'm pissed about. Do something with it. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is we talk about what we're excited about. So a little shit sandwich. So we go with a grateful challenge, and now we're excited. So, that we did our commitment.
It's still a shit sandwich.
But it's, we love ending it off that way, because it feels really good.
Yeah.
Just exciting.
Everything we have going on,
all the things that we got going on, and it's kind of like gratitude, but it gives you a sense of like really tapping into that fun and that joy,
And I find that gratitude is often for things you already have or that have
Right.
happened, whereas excited is really future vision.
True.
So we'll say like, I'm excited
Very
for this
true.
thing coming up,
Yeah.
or for like when this is complete. And that just feels really good.
Feels so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So fun.
Yeah, so that's our heart talk.
It's a heart talk.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear if you found that this was beneficial, is something that you think you'd use. Maybe you already have a similar type of practice that you use with your partner. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share with us, because sharing is caring.
Truth.
But yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you liked
you.
this, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hang out with us every week, be sure to hit subscribe. We will be back next Thursday with a new video.
We sure will. From our heart to yours, infinite love and gratitude. Until next time, bye.